My mom told me I couldn't attend my sister's $1.5 million perfect gallery opening. She said I was too chaotic and would ruin the image they were trying to build. So at 12:03 a.m., I opened my laptop, called the bank, and froze the entire $1.5 million credit line, the one registered under my name. I looked at the glowing screen. 1:15:3 p.m. I didn't cry. I didn't text back. Why? I didn't beg. My mother had taught me that emotions were drama, that my feelings were an inconvenience. So for the first time, I decided to be exactly as cold and transactional as she was. I just opened my laptop. The little blue light flickered on. Anger wasn't loud this time. It was clinical. It was precise. You see, my family made one critical mistake. They thought that because I was the chaotic artist, the unreliable one, that I was also stupid. They forgot that for the last 5 years I had been the silent, invisible investor in their perfect lives. I looked at the clock. 1:15:8 p.m. First, I opened my email and pulled up the shipping confirmation from the International Art Transport Company. They were scheduled to deliver the centerpiece of Autumn's show, a $1.5 million sculpture from Berlin, tomorrow morning. I was the one who had arranged the logistics. I was the one who had co-signed the insurance bond. I found the cancellation link. I clicked it. A small box popped up. Are you sure you want to cancel this shipment? A non-refundable deposit will be forfeited. Yes. Then I looked at the clock again. 1:20:3 a.m. I picked up my phone. I dialed the 24-hour business line for the bank. A polite, sleepy voice answered. How can I help you? Hi, I said, my voice perfectly steady. I need to report a fraudulent charge and freeze a line of credit. My name is Taylor, and I am the primary guarantor on account number. They didn't know why I did it. They just knew what I did. They thought I was just the embarrassing older sister. They forgot I was the one who paid Autumn's entire tuition for her curatorial degree. They forgot I was the one who sat in a bank manager's office 3 years ago and put my own pristine credit and $80,000 of my own money down as collateral to guarantee the $1.5 million loan they needed for the art house gallery space. They called me the failure, but they used my success to fund their perfection. And for years I let them. You have to understand, people always ask, why did you stay? Why did you let them treat you like that? They don't understand the invisible chains. They don't understand the psychology of being a survivor in your own home. When you grow up in a system that constantly tells you your worth is conditional, you learn that acceptance is something you have to earn. You become the helpful one, the reliable one. You pay for things. You fix problems. You swallow your own feelings because you're convinced that your silence is the price of admission to the family. It's not weakness. It's a survival strategy. You live in a prison that has no bars, just the crushing hope that if you do one more thing, they will finally see you. But that night, the message, the heart emoji, it wasn't just an insult. It was a key. It showed me that the prison door had been open the whole time. And I finally just walked out. I woke up at 6 a.m. to the sound of my phone vibrating so hard on the nightstand it sounded like an angry hornet. It hadn't stopped all night. I let it buzz. I got up. I made coffee. I watched the sun come up over the city, staining the sky pink and gray. I drank the first cup in silence, letting the caffeine sharpen my edges. Then I picked up the phone. The first text was from Autumn, sent at 4:17 a.m. Taylor, I don't know what you think you're doing, but you're destroying everything. The shipping company just canceled the sculpture. The caterer pulled out. You are ruining my opening. You're being insane. You're just overreacting. Overreacting. For 27 years, that was their word for any feeling I wasn't supposed to have. My phone rang again. This time it was my mother, Melissa. I let it ring 4 times, then answered. Hello? Taylor, thank God. I don't know what kind of childish game you're playing, but it stops now. Her voice wasn't worried. It wasn't apologetic. It was the voice she used on contractors who installed the wrong countertops. I am not playing a game, Mom. You've created a mess, she snapped. Autumn is hysterical. You have humiliated this family. I don't know what you did, but you need to fix it. Call the bank. Call the shipping company. Apologize. Immediately. Apologize for what? For this tantrum. You were told you couldn't come to an event. You're an adult. You deal with it. You don't get to burn your sister's life to the ground because your feelings are hurt. I was quiet for a long second. I just listened to her breathe. This is the last time I'm going to say this, she said, her voice dropping into that dangerously low tone. Fix it, or you will regret this. She hung up. No, why? No, are you okay? Just an order, a threat. I finished my coffee. I opened Instagram. Melissa had already posted. A beautiful, professionally lit photo of Autumn standing in the empty art house gallery, looking thoughtful and poised. The caption posted just 30 minutes ago read, So proud of my amazing daughter Autumn, curating the future of art in this city. Her vision for Art House is breathtaking. It's sad when some people forget who supported them on their journey, but the strong ones, the truly talented ones, always rise above the noise. Golden Child proud, Mom Art House opening. I read it twice. Rise above the noise. That's what I was. Noise. They weren't just shocked I'd fought back. They were angry I'd stopped being their victim. They weren't sorry for what they did. They were just furious that I'd finally locked the cash box. All my life I'd worried about disappointing them. Now I felt a strange, cold calm. You can't disappoint people who never saw you in the first place. I put my phone down. The last little thread of guilt, the tiny, stupid part of me that was still hoping for an apology, just snapped. They didn't want a daughter. They wanted an ATM that knew its place. I opened my laptop again. My retaliation wasn't over. It was just getting started. Melissa's threats, Autumn's insults. They were a gift. They were trying to make me feel guilty, but all they did was wipe away any last bit of doubt I had. This wasn't a misunderstanding. This was abuse. And now it was war. I picked up my phone, but I didn't call them back. I scrolled to a different name. Brooke. Brooke and I had met in college. She was the one who'd held my hair back after I'd had too much cheap vodka, and I was the one who'd edited her law school applications. She was smart, she was sharp, and she hated my family. She answered on the second ring. Taylor, it's 7 a.m. This better be good. They finally did it, Brooke. They cut me out. What? Who? Your family? I explained everything. The 1151 p.m. text, the canceled sculpture, the frozen credit line, and my mother's final threat. There was a long silence on the other end. Then I heard the sound of a keyboard clicking. "Okay," Brooke said, her voice shifting from friend to lawyer. "I'm looking at the Art House Incorporation papers right now. You're listed as the primary guarantor on the $1.5 million loan. They can't just kick you out. You're the only thing holding that business together." "I know," I said. "That's why I'm calling you. I don't want to just be angry. I want to be strategic. I want a formal notice. Something legal." "A demand letter," Brooke said, the smile evident in her voice. 30 days to find new financing to replace your $1.5 million guarantee. And let's talk about that. $80,000 you put in personally. We should demand a repayment plan for that too." "Yes, all of it. I want it all back." "Good," she said. "This is the Taylor I've been waiting for. Let me dig into these loan documents properly. I'll call you back in a few hours." I hung up and went to work. For the first time, I wasn't just surviving. I was planning. The call came at 3:15 p.m. I stepped out of the office and into the stairwell. "Brooke, did you send it?" "Taylor," she said, and her voice was completely different. The humor was gone. It was flat, cold. "Don't say anything. Just listen to me. I've reviewed the full loan package from the bank. And they did forge your signature." The stairwell suddenly felt like it was tilting. "What? What are you talking about?" "I signed the guarantee." "You signed the guarantee, Taylor. But the bank's underwriters wanted more. The $1.5 million loan needed hard collateral, not just your personal credit. Your mother, Melissa. She's a real estate broker, right?" "Yes." "She submitted the deed to your apartment, Taylor. She forged your signature on a quitclaim deed, signing your property over as hard collateral for their $1.5 million loan." I had to lean against the concrete wall. My apartment. The one I'd saved 10 years for. The one I owned free and clear. She had taken it and tied it to their debt. "Without me knowing," I whispered. "Without you knowing," Brooke confirmed. "She committed fraud. Multiple felonies, actually. Forgery wire fraud, bank fraud. Taylor, this isn't a family dispute anymore. This is a crime." I stood there in the quiet, echoing stairwell. They hadn't just used me. They hadn't just mocked me. They had been willing to let me become homeless to fund my sister's vanity project. I thought about my mother's threat from that morning. "You will regret this." I closed my eyes. The cold calm I'd felt earlier settled into something harder, something permanent. "Okay," I said. "What's our next move?" The collapse was faster than I'd imagined. When a $1.5 million line of credit vanishes overnight, things unravel quickly. First, the shipping company for the sculpture demanded payment in full, which Autumn couldn't provide, so the centerpiece of her show never left its crate in Berlin. Then the catering company pulled out, citing a breach of contract. The lighting designers followed. The auction house that was lending several minor pieces recalled them. Art House, the perfect gallery, was an empty, echoing warehouse with track lighting and no art. And then the final blow. The bank, now aware of the forgery, acted swiftly. Since the primary guarantor, me, had filed a fraud claim, and the secondary collateral, my apartment, was invalid, the entire $1.5 million loan was in default. They initiated foreclosure proceedings, not on my apartment, but on the art house gallery space itself. The opening scheduled for next week was officially catastrophically dead. I didn't have to find this out from Brooke. I saw it when the official foreclosure notice was delivered to my apartment. Since I was still on paper, the person responsible for the debt Melissa had pinned on me. I was reading that exact notice on a Tuesday night when my doorbell rang. Not a buzz, but someone pounding on the glass. I looked through the peephole. It was Melissa and Autumn. They looked broken. My mother, who never left the house without perfect hair and makeup, looked like she'd aged 10 years. Her eyes were red, her face blotchy. Autumn was beside her, pale and trembling, looking like a ghost. I unlatched the door and opened it, but didn't move to let them in. "Taylor," my mother said, her voice cracking. It was the first time I'd ever heard her sound weak. "Taylor, please, you have to stop this." "Stop what, Mom?" "The bank. They're taking the gallery. Everything. It's all gone." Autumn finally spoke, her voice a whisper. "The artists are pulling out. Everyone knows. It's a disaster." "I'm sorry to hear that," I said. My voice was flat. I felt nothing. "Sorry," Melissa lunged forward, grabbing my arm. "Sorry isn't going to fix it. They're taking everything, Taylor. We're ruined. Your sister's career is over before it even started." She was actually crying now. Desperate, ugly tears. "Please," she begged, her grip tightening. "We're losing everything. Call the bank. Tell them it was a misunderstanding. We'll pay you back. I promise. Just do something. Do something for your sister. Do something for your sister." Even now, even at the end, it was about Autumn, not about the fraud, not about the forgery, not about the fact that they had tried to sacrifice my entire financial future for their own vanity. I looked at her hand on my arm, then back at her face. "Okay," I said quietly. Her face flooded with a pathetic, desperate hope. "You will. You'll fix it." "I'm not going to fix it, Mom. But I already did something." I stepped back inside, leaving the door open. I picked up a file from my desk. It was a copy of the criminal complaint Brooke had filed with the district attorney's office, along with the official police report for the forgery. I walked back and handed it to her. She stared at the papers, her brow furrowed in confusion. What is this?" "That's the something I did," I said. "It's the criminal complaint for bank fraud and identity theft. I've already given my statement. So has Brooke. They'll be in touch." Melissa's face went from white to a sickly gray. She looked from the papers to my face, and I could see the exact moment she realized. This wasn't a negotiation. It was a sentencing. "Goodbye, Mom," I said, and I closed the door. The end was quiet, not explosive, just inevitable. Faced with a federal bank fraud investigation and felony forgery charges, my mother and sister didn't have any cards left to play. The fight was over. Brooke handled the settlement. To avoid prison time, Melissa and Autumn had to liquidate everything. The pristine condo, the luxury cars, the designer wardrobes, and of course, the now infamous art house gallery, which was sold at a humiliating loss just to cover the bank loan. Their reputation in the community, the one they had tried to protect by cutting me out, was gone. They weren't just broke, they were social pariahs. About a month later, a check for exactly $80,000 appeared in my mailbox, the full amount I had invested in their lives. I looked at it. It didn't feel like a victory. It just felt balanced. This wasn't revenge. It was accounting. But holding that check, I realized I didn't want it. It was the last thing connecting me to them, and I wanted that connection severed completely. I thought about what to do with it. And then I thought about the community music school down the street, the one that was always struggling, the one that offered free classes to kids who couldn't afford instruments. This is the difference between us. My family's justice was about punishment. about focusing on the past. But that just keeps you trapped in their story. I wanted a different kind of justice, the kind that builds, the kind that focuses on the future, not the past. I call it the justice of the planter. You don't just pull the weeds, you plant something new in their place. I walked to the music school that afternoon and gave them the entire check, all $80,000. The director just stared at me, his eyes filling with tears. This will fund our program for 3 years, Taylor. Why? Because I'm tired of things being torn down, I said. I wanted to build something. My mother's fraud, her betrayal, her attempt to ruin me. I just turned it into a creative arts fund for hundreds of kids. That was my final act of defiance, making their cruelty irrelevant. My old life ended at 1151 p.m. with a text message. My new one began when I gave that money away. And for anyone listening to this, for anyone who has ever been made to feel like you are on the outside of your own life, I need you to hear this. To the ones who always feel like they're too much or not enough, the ones who are told to be quiet, to be smaller, to not cause drama, to the ones who sit at the holiday table and feel like a stranger, wondering why love always feels like an audition you're failing. You are not at the rim. You are not the background character. Your life is not the supporting role in someone else's story. The people who dismiss you don't do it because you're worthless. They do it because they're terrified of your light. They need you to stay small so they can feel big. Stop waiting for an invitation to your own life. Stop waiting for their approval. It will never come, and you do not need it. Your worth is not determined by their inability to see it. So please take your too much energy, your drama, your sensitivity, and go build something beautiful with it. You don't need to burn their house down. You just need to build your own. And this time, don't even give them the address. Share this story if you know someone who needs to hear that it's okay to finally choose themselves.